So how do you reconcile with doing the 15 years, doing the HSIs? Again, you're removing the one key thing is you're removing the ability to save yourself from yourself because of tradable, right? Like you're enabling a feature. But at the same time, like people coming in, the ones who do an HSI stakes, it's fair to say I think most of them won't hang on to them, or maybe they'll get them back later on or something. They'll be traded at some point. If they're Quattro Cinco ones. Do you think people will need to have, if they plan on cashing out HEX in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, somewhere before 15 years, do you think there's a HEX to be set aside to stake for that period, and then the HSIs are kind of these plays on maybe ARB with ICOSA, they're plays on just the HEX price in general. They're almost for trading, but like that's kind of that's a different part of the portfolio than what they want to save themselves to make sure they get the gains from.
Well, the way I would look at it is it's better than holding liquid. Have it in HSI. It's way better than holding liquid HEX.
Yeah.
And we're realizing especially with the pooling derivatives that have been created with Maxi and stuff, there's a lot of liquid HEX out there. There's a lot more than I think a lot of us anticipated. So here's the thing. I'm Mr. Staking Ladder for sure. I started my staking ladder 2 years ago, and it's amazing. And those are all native stakes. So if you're trying to create a staking ladder to protect yourself from yourself, then make sure you do your due diligence on setting up the proper hardware wallet, right? And you're creating that staking ladder with the native HEX stakes. Now, anything extra, if there's one thing that we really realized in this last bear market, is that you have to take profits when everything is FOMOing. When people are just blindly FOMOing and buying tops every day, and we're seeing new all-time highs, like that's when you set yourself up for the next bear market. You have to protect your own self-interest in the next bear market because it will come. The bear markets always come, right? So having HSIs is way better holding HSIs than it is holding liquid HEX, right? Because when everyone's FOMOing, it will not be hard to sell those HSIs and take your profits. But the whole time that you're waiting till that FOMO stage starts, that whole time you're earning Hedron, you're earning yield in HEX, and you're still building your position. And who knows what the future holds, but now you're flexible. You have options.
Yeah. I should bring up that comment from Marco the Hexagon real quick. All new stakes, especially newcomers.
Here we go.
Yeah, so he brings up a good point, and I'm actually going to argue against it a little bit. My actual recommendation, especially for a newcomer, is to get some native stakes first. I think when I think of HEX, I think of it as like a sandbox of like build your own financial what's the word? Build your own financial game. What's it called? Like build your own what's that saying? Build your own adventure. Build your own adventure. Build your own financial adventure kind of sandbox where there are a whole bunch of options for you to take advantage of. And, while I don't think saving yourself from yourself is the entire purpose of HEX, it's technically and literally not the entire purpose of HEX, but it is a strong use case of HEX. And so having some HEX locked in hard to a single wallet that you don't have the option to trade or sell or anything like that, I think is immensely valuable from a psychological standpoint, because you're making a significant commitment to the system that you can't undo. And so for a very small percentage of your bag, maybe even some of those first stakes, I would actually recommend a native stake. Then after that, you start thinking about ladders. Those ladders can either be native stakes or HSIs. And then once you have that foundation set, that's when you start thinking like, okay, now we're doing all of them HSIs to get that extra functionality. But I don't think we should discount what value native stakes bring. It's like I was saying before, it's all a game of trade-offs. There is no better or worse. So what features are we getting through native stakes? What features are we getting through HSI stakes? And how do those best serve our financial goals, both in the short term, long term, and within the entire context of our portfolio and our financial trajectory over time?
I love HSIs, but actually I would say the most important thing to me about HEX, that native stakes in general, is saving yourself from yourself. I mean, I just having looked at the liquid I've had and then the staked I've had, and the temptation that it's been going through the market cycles and stuff. This last market cycle, I am extremely glad I've been staked with native stakes in that way, and that I couldn't trade it away. So I don't know. I think I'm not even sure it's a think it's one of those trade-off things. Like, I think that I think most people need native stakes that they can't trade to save themselves. And again, that's why I was so happy when Diamond Hands came in with the whole system there, because I was like, oh no, I love all the perpetuals, but now it's removing this thing that I love so much. So I don't know. I'm good. To me, it's the most important thing, other than, the API and keeping money safe and trustless and all that stuff, of course. But I don't think certainly not everyone needs it, and certainly it's not the most important feature to them. But to me, like, I'm so glad I've been staked. I'm so glad I've been staked for this long, because I count myself as a person with discipline in a lot of ways. But oh my gosh, when price go down, I'm like, nope, nothing I can do about it. Totally cool, but a smile on the face. Can't do anything about it. Can't trade those stakes.
And Mark, can you bring up that last thing Marco just said really quickly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I do agree. So, like, one of the big barriers to HEX staking is like, but it's locked. I can't get access to my funds. Liquidity is like the ultimate thing that you need in crypto or whatever. And like, yes, for those people, when you're onboarding already native crypto people into HEX, I think HSI is a great selling point too. So I agree with you there. And yeah, that whole conversation of like saving yourself from yourself, and like how big of a necessary quality that is of HEX is an interesting one to have, because it's definitely been a prevailing narrative for the majority of HEX. And now with things like Hedron and ICOSA, or not really Hedron and ICOSA, but HSI technology specifically, it challenges that a little bit.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. It's I'm so glad it exists, because I have so many use cases, and of course, I think it makes the well-oiled machine just like go to a different level. But yeah, I'm glad. I don't know. I like the native, and there'll be plenty of people who never touch HSIs. It's going to be interesting to see the next few years. The people are like, HSIs, nope, don't want anything to do with them, and other people are like, nope, all my stakes are HSIs. So that's cool. It's like,
that's perfectly fine.
I like that everyone has their own like niche, like they have their own thing they value in the community, and we're all using the same product, or maybe different products in the ecosystem, but we're all using the same thing at the fundamental layer, HEX.